So I think the last one of these that we did was exactly around this time, about a year ago, wasn't it? When we finished the TGS. And we've literally just finished another one, which hasn't been announced yet, so people haven't seen it yet. But we have finished recording, we've finished mixing and mastering, and it's done. It's done, ladies and gentlemen. It's finished. Finito.
The whole thing's pretty much ready to go now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's turned out pretty good, I think. I mean, the last one was good as well. We were pretty happy with that. But now, coming back again just in a year's time, this one's turned out possibly even better. But
I think so. Well, this was the thing. I know this is like so fucking self-indulgent, but like literally like in the close circle of the band, everyone who's listened is like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is so much better than everything else you've done before. Even Osmos themselves, who are usually very kind of maybe modest in the feedbacks, or like just, just have their own way of like doing things. With this one, they immediately were like, well, congratulations. This is a much better album than the last one. So
yeah, I mean, it's always a good sign, because it's easy when you're doing it, making it yourself and listening back to it, to just think, oh yeah, this is good because it's something that you've made. But when you get the immediate feedback from other people as well, it kind of cements that, and you think, okay, yeah, we are onto a good thing now.
Yeah. But we were already kind of like that just in the studio.
Yeah. Just when it was coming together. I mean, even before then, probably.
Yeah.
Just from like putting the initial like demos and bits and pieces together.
So one of the things we did a bit differently, there are a few things we did differently this time. The production team was more or less the same. Sam from Ritual Sound took care of this one. And he fucking nailed it, by the way. The mix is fucking outrageous, man. It sounds so good. But as a combination of things, I think that for the first time, because one very common feedback that we've always had in TRIVAX is, especially when we did the European tour, where some people were actually seeing us for the first time, they're always coming up saying the following: you are much better live than you are on the record.
Yeah.
But then people always go on to make the clarification that that's not because they think the record is bad, that they just think that the live show has a lot more energy to it, which I think we do. That's a big part of what we do. And when you're there in person, you know this. And it's been the most consistent feedback that we've had, which I think is only a reflection of the state that we actually go into ourselves, that absolute state of frenzy on stage. But interestingly enough, I think this was actually the first time, dare I say, on the record, that we actually captured that live energy on the record.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it helped because of the way that the album itself was put together. It was more of a relaxed environment in each of the sections, like for you doing the guitars, and then when I did the drums, putting all the bits and pieces together, it was very easy, really. So it was, and I think that helps because then you don't have other things in the back of your mind while you're recording. You're just focusing on playing the music, making the songs as good as they can be.
They are, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to the fact that we've got more reps under our belts.
Yeah, that does help.
And that is the same for anything. I talked about this on a video that I just did about our first album, which sold 2 copies on Bandcamp on the day it came out. Which is obviously, like it's obviously we're very fucking grateful to have the support that we do, because that is no longer the case. And we appreciate the fuck out of everyone who's been following us throughout these years. But I also feel like there is this element of, because we've done it for long enough now, and we, like it's the constant process of conjuring something in the studio or in the solitude of home when writing the material, extracting that, playing it live, and then going in this constant loop. I think that we're kind of at that level where it's not to say we didn't believe in what we did before. We always have done. But I think this is kind of like thus far the pinnacle in many ways, and I think the music will speak for itself,
Yeah. Well, it's more natural now as well, isn't it? Because we've got like how many years of experience now doing it.
Yeah.
We've been through the cycle a few times, making albums, going and playing them. So it feels more normal as well, because I know when you go into the studio, if you've not done it a lot, it does feel quite unnatural because you do that much less than you do actually going live and playing on stage. So that I think that feels more normal more quickly. And I think it takes a couple of albums to kind of get into the swing and really understand what you need to do and kind of how to do it as well. Like,
I think this was, you make a good point about that. Because like being in the studio is a bit of a weird fucking environment. Like it can sometimes feel a bit sterile, and if there's like too many people involved, or like people that you kind of know and you have a good working relationship with, which I feel like we've been lucky because every single album that we've recorded has been with excellent people.
yeah,
Great individuals, and they know their shit. But I feel like just kind of stripping back on that side, taking control of some of the productions ourselves, and then only basically working with Sam just to do the drums and the mix and master, I think it turned out great. And also, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but basically, I think all of us, but like after the songs were finished, I basically said to you, like, just fucking go nuts in the studio.
yeah,
Which you did, which made it even better.
yeah. I think that was another thing that we changed it up a bit on that one as well, because normally there was never really ever a solid structure or checklist that you had to go in and do, and so the songs have to be exactly like this. There was always room for a bit of messing around and creativity in that.
And that's why we do different versions of things live and sometimes that we do on the album.
And I think you need that as well when you're in the studio, because it helps to create better songs, better music, when you've got the opportunity to go in and play what you feel in the moment. But with this one, that was very much the case for the entire thing. I know, like, when I was going into it, I had, on most of the songs, I knew roughly what was going to be where, and, like, beats are going to be played and this and that, but a lot of it was, in a sense, figuring it out in the moment as well, because we had a fair amount of time to go through the stuff. And it was just me and Sam actually there during the time. So it gave that opportunity to just kind of sit down with the music, do some takes, look at it, analyze it, think, oh, maybe we could do some things a bit differently here, or try certain things, and bouncing ideas off each other as well. Like, and there's some parts on the album, on the drum recording, there was actually, Sam came with some of the ideas.
Oh yeah.
So for example, like on Path Carver, there's like a certain beat that I was doing towards the end.
Okay.
The last riff before it goes into the outro section where we come back in.
Yeah.
And I was playing that just on the ride, and we did a couple of takes and then went up to the room and we were listening back to it, and Sam was like, I think that would sound better with like a bit of a crash beat.
Oh, that
At first I was thought to myself,
credit to Sam then, there we go.
Indeed. Because at first I thought to myself, like, I'm not sure about that. Like, I kind of like how it is on the ride, but I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. Went back down, recorded it again, just did it slightly differently to adapt to the fact that it was on the crash instead. It came back up, and then listened back. I was like, actually, yeah, it sounds much better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that bit is like, because where it is in the song. So one thing that we like to do a lot is just work with song dynamics, which is something that I always feel like is very much lacking from extreme metal as a whole. A lot of bands, when you listen to, it's always just like one flat line, whereas we like to create dynamics. Even like a song, an older song now, like The Serpent's Gaze.
Yeah.
That was like, the challenge was to essentially make a whole song out of one riff.
Yeah.
And the obviously the live version is slightly shorter, but the studio version is like about 9 minutes, and it is practically the same riff that just keeps going on repeat, and then it's the same key and all of that. And to me, that's kind of like the magic of songwriting, because if I look at a lot of my own favorite artists, let's say Depeche Mode. Let's think of a song like Behind the Wheel. That song is the same beat from start to finish. When it starts, you got like the low, sort of like the bass line that's kind of on the keyboard. That's the main melody. And then on top of that, you got like a guitar layer that comes in, and then some percussive layers, and then a keyboard layer. And then the song just keeps going off of the same thing. And to me, that's the magic of songwriting.
Yeah.
Not necessarily cramming a million fucking riffs into a song, which, by the way, is how I used to do it on the first album.
Yeah.
So I think that we kind of respect that dynamic because ultimately you want to create, it's like you're creating like a roller coaster type of simulation where not just the listener, but even for us, you sit in that roller coaster and every single twist and turn is things that we've designed and put in there because that's how we want to experience it. And always by the time the song is finished, emotionally, you feel you're at a different place. And perhaps intellectually also, which we can perhaps pay attention to because of the lyrics of this particular album, which we kind of took it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
But that's always been a big part of what we do is the dynamics, is to not be limited to, oh, this is just another extreme metal band with fucking blast beats from start to finish. This is just another black metal band that's playing fucking Transylvanian Hunger covered in fucking Panda Corpse Paint. This is just another death metal band that's doing fucking like triggered fucking bass drums. We've never followed any of that shit. And that, like to each their own, but that's just not us. That's not who we are as a band.
I think that's what has made it work as well, because you've got the different dynamics within the same songs and within the albums. I mean, you look at this one, pretty much any of the albums that we've done, and when you go through and listen to the album from start to finish, there's so many different elements and things and even genres that get touched on throughout just within one album.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy about the music that we make is that element of you're not just kind of stuck into a script or a set of guidelines where you might have a cool riff, but then it's like, but you can't like put a blast beat on it, or, like you can't put a certain drum beat or fill or whatever because it doesn't suit the riff. It's like, that doesn't really matter.
Dude, we don't fucking care.
No.
We really don't fucking care about that, and that's kind of like sometimes I can see that rubbing people the wrong way, but it's like, fuck you. I'd rather you be upset and I know that I'm being true to myself, or that we're being true to ourselves, and then if you like it, fucking awesome. If you don't like it, no problem, man. I'm all for fucking free speech. You do your thing, but we're going to do our thing. This is our territory. So when we're making our music, that is what we focus on. So when people listen to us, they listen to us for us, not because this is a part of some fucking subgenre or whatever. That's not how I connect with bands. Like, when I listen to Dissection, I don't think, oh, I'm listening to a melodic black metal band.
No.
I think I'm listening to fucking Dissection.
Yeah.
There's only one.
Yeah. And you can tell straight away. Those are the bands that make the impact, where you can put the music on and you know exactly who it is, and because they're unique. They're not just following certain things and that. Because at the end of the day, you're making music that you want to play and you want to hear because you've identified something that, by listening to other bands, you feel is missing from your arsenal of things that you want to listen and experience and then share with other people.
100%. Because otherwise, why the fuck would you do it?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, do you know how fucking hard it is to be in a band? To like spend all that money and all that time, all those effort, all those hours, like sweating and just fucking sacrificing basically your entire life to make this thing happen, which isn't necessarily financially viable, but you do it because you fucking need to do it. It's a hunger. It's an insatiable fucking hunger to do it. So why the fuck would I then start compromising to make it more accessible for people or make it more acceptable? Now, that can be acceptable to someone who's within black and death metal or someone to the outside. I don't fucking care about that. This is our investment. We make it what we want to experience for ourselves. But as I've said before, I think that selfishness, in a way, if you can call it selfishness, I think in a way it's actually worked out well for us, because people see all these different logos on a festival and that all come out and do some bullshit in Latin about Satan or whatever. And then the next thing you've got TRIVAX, and we're totally doing our own fucking thing.
Yeah.
And not necessarily trying to be original, but just being authentic. Now, whether it's original or not, like, good luck. There's like only 12 frets on a fucking guitar, and there's only so many time signatures that are comprehensible. So that's like, I think to me, the authenticity will always remain a huge factor, for which, by the way, I think this last one is the most authentic piece of work we've ever put together.
I think so. I think if you're going to capture the true essence of the band and put it down into one record, I think everything beforehand is kind of building up, and we started tapping into it as time went on and made a couple of albums. And even on the last one, like as good as I think The Great Satan is, I think it was more even then a case of unlocking the door a little bit and kind of tapping into the potential, whereas now it's kind of delivering on that a bit more and understanding it more and putting it all together into
To
that.
be honest, like we've not talked about this, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
100% I agree with that. Yes.
And I think it's not even something that's just appeared overnight either.
Yeah.
I think it's the culmination of everything that's been done up until this point.
Mm.
Because you have to take all of the learnings and experiences from the previous records and everything that's happened before, not even just the records as well, just, going out, playing the gigs, being on the road, spending all the time together, learning, developing as people, to then arrive at the point now to put the new album together. It's not just the music or the band that brings the whole package together. It's everything that comes around it as well. As people,
I agree, because the music will always reflect who we are. And if you're, as a collective, so uncompromisingly focused on internal growth, that's going to bleed into the music.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can hear it now. I mean,
sorry to interrupt your flow there, but like, if you want to be in a band just so you can go on a tour bus and fucking drink and get fucking shit-faced or whatever, no problem, man. Like, you go for it. It's a lot of hassle just to be a wreckhead, but, by all means, you go for that.
It's a good way to get in debt.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're already being dead even if you're not doing that. So, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, I think being so obsessed with growth internally as people, I think that kind of, in my view, that sets you apart from just wanting to do something for the sake of it, just because you want to party, just because you want to ultimately, in your heart, run away from responsibilities. Why do I say that, by the way? Because that's exactly, say in 2017, 2018, when life wasn't really working out for me and I didn't really know how to fucking deal with shit, my dream and my wish was for a tour bus to come and pick me up, leave, and never come back.
Yeah.
Which would have only worked out in a disastrous way, especially when you observe some of these guys who made it when they were only 17, 18 years old, and then they start dying off at age 40, 50 from various other health issues that they kind of develop because they never had to face real life. They've never had to face the challenge of being a functioning adult. Whereas for us, that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because we need to do it. And it's the art of expression itself that's important. Also, the fact that we do have a fucking message that we are willing to bleed for. And that, I think that's a different thing, because the satisfaction that comes from that is different. But then also, I would argue that's part of the reason why that growth is as intense and as severe as it is, even if there's only like a year or two between albums.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see it as well. It's when you've been doing it, I think more so in the last few years, like you mentioned, from 2017, which also was probably one of the worst years that we had for the band.
And then people.
Yeah. And I think the catalyst...
2017 fucking sucked. Oh, shit year. God damn.
The catalyst from that was then that, I think that started to plant the seeds, because then, after that, I think that was around the time when you initially started getting into the fitness aspect, and then we all kind of followed a bit later on. But then now, after you've done those multiple years of doing that and building things up, and then it gets to a point where you think about recording a new album, and then it's like, well, if you're going to go in and do it, then you need to make, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to make something that can be the best version of itself that it can possibly be?
Exactly.
And I think that stems from that time, because if we carried on as things were back then, up until now, which, it's like 9 years at this point, I don't think we'd be sitting here now with what we've created to the same level of quality, you know, I think it would, I mean, obviously it's pure speculation, but I don't think we would have anything probably half as good as what it is now.
No, look, I totally agree. Because at the time, like, you know, if you reflect back at the kind of reality that we experienced in 2014 or in 2017, we would have never, it was really hard to see how the band was gonna go from where it is then to where it is right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? A big part of that also just comes from the art of actually doing shit instead of sitting around thinking about it, which I've talked about a lot on the podcast.
Well, I mean, you think of like how many fuck ups and things we've had in,
That's been,
you know,
yeah,
in different scenarios and gigs and things, but it's not a bad thing at the end of the day, you know, because
you only learn.
well, exactly, yeah. It's always, those are the times when you learn the most. If everything was great and you succeed all the time and you just go through and every gig's perfect, albums are great, you know, it's like, okay, cool, but where do you develop in that environment? Because in the back of your mind, you think, well, everything's great, you know, we're doing well, making sales, this and that, we haven't fucked anything up.
I think a big difference is that what we're doing, we're every single step of the way, we're extremely intentional with it.
Yeah.
Like nothing is happening by accident with TRIVAX. Whether it's like a piece of lyrics, whether it's like what the merch looks like, you know, like simple things, whether it's like how we release something, how we write something online, the things that we choose to share, the things that we choose not to share, which there are plenty of also, and how we package everything together is an extremely intentional process. And you know what, like having spent quite a bit of time with a lot of our peers, especially bands who are like maybe not necessarily the same age, but like maybe slightly younger than us, because we've been around for a while now.
Yeah.
But not quite as long as like 30 years, you know, but like we're,
I mean, we get
closer to 30 than we are to 0.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And when you look at it like that, I don't feel like everyone has the same thing. And that's not to say they're shit, you know, but that I think the intentionality is something that I take a lot of pride in with what we do. And speaking of which, I'm fucking really stoked for people to see what the next live shows are gonna look like.
Yeah, indeed. That's
I don't want to give away too well. I
can't really say too much.
no, but
I think it's going to be a nice new direction for the band.
I think so.
And I think those that are there to see it, I think will appreciate it.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's to put it mildly. But yeah, expect the so this year we purposely didn't book many shows other than a handful, because we finished the Great Satan run in April.
Yeah.
And that was a great send off during the Great Satan. We ended up playing, I think, 25, 26 cities, 11 countries.
It's a pretty good game.
It was a really good run for us. Definitely one of the most elaborate we've had since the start of the band, and I feel like
there were a lot of firsts in that.
There was a lot of firsts. No, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And I feel like with where we are at now, so this is what I was saying, that we've only booked a handful of shows at the moment. From next year, I suspect we'll be busier because there will be new material. I can't give specific time. Sorry, guys, but just expect that we'll have new material out by at some point next year. If not, maybe a little bit sooner. But you know, so yeah, with that new live show, the overall setup is gonna be fucking spectacular. I think it's we're definitely taking things to another level, and I think the people who are coming to see us, Bloodstock Festival being our next appearance.
Yeah.
If you've seen us before, you're in for something definitely. I'll just say different, because I don't want to overpromise. But and then if you've never seen us before, you're probably in for the best rendition of the band you've seen so far. So
yeah,
I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah,
I'm not overselling it, am I?
No, I think it's a nice, fresh direction that we're moving towards, which I think ultimately helps the overall live show. And it also opens up some more doors for the live show to, in the sense of allowing us to.
Yeah, I want to be careful with that part now, but yeah.
I know, but there's some opportunities that otherwise wouldn't have been available, which ultimately just helps the overall live show, really.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. And listen, guys, thank you for, first of all, supporting TRIVAX for the last, how many years has it been now?
It's coming up to 15 now, isn't it?
So 15 in the UK.
In the UK, yes.
And then
it would be
18? Is it 18 years since I started it?
I
don't know. Fuck, like almost 2 decades we're talking here. So
yeah,
we appreciate the fuck out of you guys, okay? I feel like not enough bands in this scene, you know, everyone's trying to be fucking edgy and be like black metal cult, whatever. I really don't give a fuck about that. And I really want to just directly say thank you guys for supporting the band. Thank you for coming up to the shows. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for coming to the merch tables. Thank you for everything, your engagement with whether it's this or the video, anything else that we do. We really genuinely appreciate you because we fucking care about what we do and we enjoy what we do, and we hope that that enjoyment is infectious to spread to all of you. And also, we do have an important message to carry.
Yeah,
that I feel like is not only there's not enough of it, it literally feels like there's no one else carrying the same message as our band. So so we appreciate your support, and I don't want to be the only band sharing this message. And if what I'm saying is a little bit not too direct, maybe the lyrics to the next album will solve that question for you. But nevertheless, guys, thank you so much for the support, and yeah. So our guest, Matt Croton, TRIVAX.
Yeah, indeed.
There we go.
Look forward to catching you all guys soon.
Yeah, Sears of Bloodstock. That's the next show. And when the videos come out, you'll all know exactly what him and I were talking about today.
Then we'll have to do another one.
Then no, we don't. No, we don't. Fuck off.
It's the last one. That's it. I'm done.
There we go. See ya.
Welcome to Iblis Manifestations.